Hi, Chris Duff at Serious Land Capital, Vacant Land Funding Partner. So today I wanted to do another lesson about that lemon property in Washington State that we narrowly avoided funding, and tons of lessons involved there. So to catch you up in case you hadn't listened to those other properties, this was a narrow 5-acre property in a premium neighborhood just north of Seattle, around a bunch of near $1 million houses, hadn't been developed. It was a tax deed sale. A previous buyer had got it for $250,000, let it go at tax auction for around 70. We had it under that contract price. Thought we were going to get builder buyers from the realtor we had selected in the area that were going to come in north of $200,000, and we could set up a near transactional type deal, double close situation with equity upside. You really can't ask for anything better. And then it all fell apart because the property ended up being a lemon. So I discussed a lot of those issues within the previous podcasts related to the seller issues, wetlands impact, easement access. And so a way that we try to save this deal and still preserve some type of upside for ourselves and, reduce the downside to basically zero is when I was on the phone with this builder, or not builder, but the broker who had a bunch of builder relationships in the area. We were going over, okay, yeah, there's clearly a lot of hair here. And when we're buying this property at 70K, initially we thought reliably, first we thought, okay, his builders might buy this thing for like, 250, 300K. Then it turns out all this hair came up, utilities, public water was not available. That was going to be another 30K hit on having to install a well. So the margin started drying up. And then we were going to have to consider we still have a lot of margin to work with here. Like we could exit it at 140K. I would have been super happy with the deal, 2X, boom, let's move on. Let's see if there's room to work with these builders, or if we're going to have to list the property, could we still reliably get a tax? And so the broker was indicating, yeah, so far it seems, but then as we really talked it out and realizing, oh, wait, there's a super crazy easement to access this property, this is going to make it a lot trickier. And then all of a sudden, the price per acre kept going down and down and down with all this hair, and realizing this thing could move for like 20K per acre, best case, which, at 5 acres only puts us at like 100K. And there's no way we would fund anything for 20K purchase for a possible best case K exit. That's just way too risky. So we're like, all right, there's no situation that we will close on this property at this current price unless we can get effectively a double close situation with one of your builder relationships, somebody who, if they say they're going to close on a deal, they're going to close on a deal. And so, the broker was just asking, okay, like what would you guys need to net out to make it worth your while? Like what are we working with here? And so in situations like this, where we could set up a double close, we can be a bit more aggressive on the margins. I'm like, I know there's no real guarantees like until the money is in the bank, but if you could get us to net out 100K on this deal, net of all closing costs on, the buy side, this would still be worth our risk to move forward with this deal. I mean, we're still going to earn, especially if we could close within 30, 45 days max. The return on my capital from a percentage basis and the reliability of closing de-risked is still going to be worth it, even if, ultimately we net out 10-ish K, something like that. So that's a situation I would want to set up. Obviously, the higher the better. But if you could work something out with your builders, just, hey, there's obviously a lot of hair here. What are you guys willing to do? Is there any number that will work for you? And so that was the strategy that we took so that we could see, okay, could we still get a de-risked exit on this? And I was already a bit committed because I'm like, man, we already engaged in a $2,500 contract with Text Title Services to clear up title on this because we needed to like rush delivery or the seller was going to bail on this deal. And now a whole bunch of hair came up with this property. So like, I'm already committed with some funds here that I really would have wanted to avoid, but possibly we could still earn some cash on this deal. So let's see what's possible. But if none of those builders wanted to bite, then there's no way we would close on the deal. We were just going to eat the tax title service fee. Plus, I'd already spent fees with my third-party due diligence consultant that we had already paid out. And, we were just going to move on from the deal. So very fortunately, the broker was able to, again, he knows these builders very well, got in contact with his main one. And within like an hour of us having this conversation, it's like, yeah, this is technically buildable. It's just going to take forever. It's going to, take a year plus to get all the approvals in place. There's so much hair on it. It is just not worth the time. Like, he's like, yeah, if I had this property, I would just look to donate it to the county, tax write-off, and move on from it. And so that basically was the death knell for possibly exiting the property. If, builders weren't even willing to consider any type of offer on it, it was basically a dead deal. And so like, I'm very pleased with how we set up that de-risked arrangement. Okay, if A happens, we can go down this pathway. If it doesn't happen, okay, we're going to cancel and so forth and move on. It didn't end up actually working out for us, but at least it's way better to figure out that a deal's not going to work out before you actually get stuck under title with a property and you are dealing with a bomb that might blow up your business. So a good save from that perspective. And then, I immediately called Tax Title Services and I'm like, hey, I know we already put down a deposit for like $1,100 with you guys a few days ago, but hey, this property is unbuildable. We're not going to close on it. Is there any way? I know we're under contract that we could get. And I know I should use the negotiation tactics to check with AI and so I did it. But just presented the situation to them and they're like, yeah, no worries. You're not going to be on the hook for what was going to be remaining on the contract. We'll refund that rush fee of $400. Since we only, we might not have spent anything on the deposit that you put down. It's been only, 2 or 3 business days. We might be able to refund you everything. Or, if we only spent a portion of it, we'll get most of it back to you. Like, this is really, really good customer service. They could easily have just said, yeah, sorry, tough luck, for the entire $2,500 that we were committed to. And I was willing, and ready to eat it. I mean, I didn't really have a choice to avoid that. But the fact that they're like, hey, we're looking out for our customers. Sorry, this one didn't work out, but anytime you get something else that's a possible tax deed cleanup, come back to us. And I'm like, yes, you guys are my first call. This is tremendous, which is just another lesson. Again, key client and customer service is more rare than you think. That's something we pride ourselves on. I know we probably haven't been 100% positive, but we really strive to be, because it just leaves you feeling good when another business is like, hey, we're going to take care of you guys. Like that, it really makes my day a lot better. So, I try to return the favor whenever possible. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a huge relief when, yeah, $2,500 wasn't going to kill our business, but it's going to hurt. It's like, damn, this deal just didn't work out and I'm going to eat this extra cost. And now it's like, okay, at most we might be paying like 10% of what I thought was going to be committed to this property. And now I can breathe a sigh of relief because we got good service. So with that in mind, hopefully all of that is helpful to you all. SeriousLand.capital for any of your funding needs. Zero cost review of land deals at Land Daily Diligence Facebook group, and landpricer.ai for the most simple and accurate way to price land for getting my own marketing. Okay. Also, I'd be remiss without mentioning Unconference. I think there's only 9 spots left. LandOnConference.com, $200 off your ticket using my last name's promo code. Subscribe and share. Take care. See you next time.